As you know, Revela works with companies in all different industries. And one of the things that we do for some of these companies is that we help them in putting the right butts in the right seats. In other words, we're helping them with the selection process and making sure that they're hiring for the future, not for today. So in the process of working with these companies, I read a lot of job descriptions and I also read a lot of job postings. Those are not one and the same, but many companies think that they are. I want to start out just from the very beginning at your job posting. The thing that we forget is that employees are now the new customer. With the job market the way that it is, we have to sell our culture, we have to sell our company, and we have to sell the position. So when you're posting a job on a job board like Indeed or Monster, ZipRecruiter, things like that, or even on your own website, you don't just want to list, here are the things that the person is responsible for, here are the requirements, and here's what you'll be evaluated on. If I were out looking for a job, I'd probably skip right over that ad. Your job posting needs to be a little bit different. It should ask questions to try and intrigue your readers. Do you like to work in a collaborative environment? Do you enjoy design? Is one of your strengths managing others or getting work done through others? Ask questions to intrigue them and then go into a little bit more about what the job specifically entails. Another thing that I saw on a job posting the other day was, please fax or email your application to XYZ. Do you have a fax machine at home? Because I don't. So if I were applying for jobs, I certainly am not going to print out an application, fill it out, and then find somewhere to fax it back. I'm going to go to these ones that have online, short, easy applications. In fact, I actually read a stat the other day on an HR blog that said 60% of people have stopped filling out an application because it was either too complex or too long. So make it easy for them. So then let's talk about selecting your candidates. A lot of times, especially if you're using a job board, there are questions that you can ask right before they apply, and it lists those things that are 100% required. So do you require a bachelor's degree? Do you require experience in the field of XYZ? Do you require a valid driver's license? When sorting through your applicants, that's the easiest way to immediately eliminate those that don't meet the requirements. So those are the things that we would consider non-negotiables. So try using some of those non-negotiables and then try and speak to your audience to get the people that you're looking for. So after you've filtered through these, that's when you start your pre-screening or your first interviews. You can, 1, get to hear how they speak in a professional setting. 2, you can reiterate those non-negotiables. Does this person meet the requirements of my position? And 3, you get to talk a little bit more in depth about the things that the person would actually be doing. So from there, I would suggest using a pre-hire assessment. Now at Revela, we use something called the PXT Select by Wiley, but there are all kinds of assessments out there. Whatever you choose to use, I would make sure, 1, that it's been thoroughly researched, tested, and retested, and 2, that it's validated by the Department of Labor for selection and hiring. There are so many companies out there that want to use a personality assessment, such as the DISC, for hiring, and it's not validated by the Department of Labor. So that could actually come back on you later. All that does is measure a person's personality and not necessarily behaviors that are specific to a position. When you're using assessments, you want to make sure that they are no more than 1/3 of your hiring decision, meaning you have to take a look at the person's past, present, and future is how I like to explain it. So the past, that is the previous experience, that's everything that's listed on the resume. It's the person's education, the person's skills, things that they have already learned in the past that would help them to be successful. Present, that's the assessment itself. Those are the specific behaviors that are measured on the assessment that you're taking a look at. That's also your interviews, the things that you've learned about this person as you've gone along in this process. And then future. We're not only looking to hire people who fit a specific position. What makes companies successful is that you're hiring for the future. So now, yes, this person can do the job that I'm asking them to do. But in the future, where do you see them going? What else could they do in the company? Do they have skills from a previous position that could actually help make a process that you already have better? So then comes the second interview. So anytime you're going to use a pre-hire assessment, you have to bring the person back in or schedule another phone call to follow up on that assessment. There are so many companies that want to just eliminate a candidate if they scored poorly on an assessment. but that's not how we should do it. Some people are just bad test takers. So you want to ask those questions that dig a little bit deeper on the areas where the person scored outside of what you were looking for. Just because a person's default might be one thing doesn't mean that they don't have the experience to adjust or haven't already had to do that in the past. So you want to ask some follow-up questions, some very open-ended questions that lead you to the items that you're looking for, or that make the person tell stories about things that they've done in the past, obstacles that they've overcome. So then as we're narrowing down candidates, you're doing your background checks, you're following up with references. One of the key pieces that a lot of companies miss is following up with your other applicants about the status of their application. Did you know that a person is 80% more likely to reapply at your company if informed of the status of their application? That means, let's say you have 3 really strong candidates. Obviously you have to choose one, but the other 2, they could work for you in the future if you let them know that they weren't selected or let them know their status. In fact, if you do keep in contact with them throughout, they are 3.5 times more likely to apply to your company again. So then comes the final offer. A lot of companies these days draft up an offer letter or an offer email just telling them, here's the position, here's what's expected, here's your hours, here's what you'll be paid. But you have to remember, today's workforce has choices. So yes, you need to send that offer letter. But keep in mind that this is a negotiation. You have to be open to people coming back and saying, I want this. However, there's something I would change. A lot of companies aren't exactly open to that. But like I said, employees are the new customer. And if we want an employee bad enough, then sometimes we need to do a little bit of negotiating to get them. Because if you don't, another company will. All in all, the pre-hire process is not what it used to be. I remember going into companies and filling out a paper application that was 20 pages long just to apply for something that I probably would never get. Now, people don't even have to leave the house to apply for a job. They don't even have to get out of their pajamas if they don't want to. And it seems almost absurd to ask someone to come in to fill out an application these days. So it's time that we just ramp it up a little bit. We make our companies a little bit more competitive and make it be somewhere that someone would want to work. What are you going to do?